Welcome, everybody. Hello, hello to Twitch and YouTube. I'm Rogan. I am the social media and streaming specialist. Some of you might know me. I stream here every week, but the man of the hour, William Dyce, is sitting next to me.
Hello. I don't know if I'm more the man of the hour than anyone else on the team. We've all been putting a lot of work in recently, but
Very true.
yeah, happy to be here.
Definitely. Everybody, we're wearing masks. William and I are both fully vaccinated, but we thought we'd do the extra protection and being here, but it's nice to be like in the studio physically.
It definitely is.
So everybody, as you might have noticed from the stream title down there somewhere, we are featuring the map maker today. It's going to be, I guess, kind of like a tutorial. We just want to show you guys around and maybe answer some of your questions. We have the Cat of Nine Tails watching over the chat. She's going to send over some questions that come up to me, and we'll try and answer them as much as possible. If we start getting a lot, maybe we'll just do a questions period more near the end, but we'll try and also do that throughout. But I think we're just going to like dive right in. We have prepared something a little special, definitely special to you. Yeah, let's just do it. Do you want to just dive right in, or?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So there is history, obviously, that we had to read up on, but there's geography also.
Definitely. And actually, before we dive in, do you want to introduce yourself?
Oh, yes. Yeah, sure. For those of you who don't know me, and I know I have a habit of changing my haircut every time I appear on stream, I'm William, so William Dyce. A little bit of nominative determinism there. I am the lead game designer on Humankind. So I've been here since the very beginning, way back in 2016. So yeah, it's been quite a journey, and we are really looking forward to seeing everyone getting their hands on Humankind and telling us what they think.
What do you? Are you nervous? Are you pumped? How are you feeling right now? Because the game's finally coming out next week. It's great.
Yeah, well, you know how it is. You're never going to be able to do everything you want to, because you'd be working on the game for a lifetime. So, we are happy with where we've got it, and we are scared, and we are excited, and a whole kind of cocktail of emotions.
Yes.
And yeah.
Perfect. Well, I think some people are already noticing the tiny Australia down there, but I think we can hop into the.
Let's.
I think we'll start off with the tiny map, right?
Yes. So let's not spoil things too much.
Perfect.
So the screen that we were on is accessible through, I believe, the community option in the main menu, so you can get to that fairly easily, and you can look at all the kind of both the map presets, so what we saw, kind of tiny, medium, etc. And also the other maps that you may have gotten hold of that you can use as a basis. So we're going to just be using the kind of default tiny map as a basis for our little map. Definitely. So here we can see our beautiful hexagonal country.
Look at that.
Hexistan.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to move our camera for everybody.
That's a good idea. Yeah, we're covering some of those lovely buttons. So I am actually myself overjoyed by this user interface with all the little icons and everything, because I have to tell you, our dev tools throughout the OpenDevs when we were making the maps, they did not look this cool.
Right.
It was very kind of austere with just kind of debug text and so on. So we were saying before, there's still a lot of stuff that we need to kind of tweak and so on before this is like a perfect tool for a complete layman. But compared to what we were dealing with back in the day, this is really really lovely. So I'm going to dive right in here. So the basic controls, if you're used to Humankind, you'll be used to the camera controls. So you can left click and drag to move the camera around. You can also use the keyboard if you want. Zoom in and out with the mouse wheel, and you can also either place something or smear, which is a word that I'm going to coin. I don't think that
Place and
exists.
smear. I like that.
Smear. So what we can do, right-click is smear, and right-click basically takes whatever is under the cursor and smears it over something else. So for instance, if we want to smear a tile type, we'd right-click over the ocean, and we can make the land become ocean, or make the ocean become land. So basically, it's like a kind of what would you call a little dropper function?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can you just like click on the tile,
Yes.
whatever you want, and then somewhere else do a little smear, as you like to say?
So yeah, I mean, what's actually happening is when I right-click on something, this interface on the left-hand side here is actually going to update and say, oh, you've got kind of ocean, and
Right.
here if I click, oh, you've got prairie. So what happens if I want to place something entirely new that doesn't, exist yet in the world? I can do that pretty easily. So I can say, oh, I want to put down some forests, and that's going to be with the middle click. So middle click is something new, and then once I have my new thing, I can smear it again, and I can also, rather than choosing in the list over here, I can use the picker, so the right click to choose the thing I want.
Very nice.
So with all those options, it's very easy to kind of grab what you want, move it around. I can say, oh, let's bring the forest out over here. Actually, don't like that. And obviously, you have Control Z that works. Although this may be a QWERTY.
It is QWERTY, yeah. I have a French keyboard here with QWERTY enabled, everybody. That's, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Control Z is Control
W.
W, I guess, on this one.
Okay.
But it is Control Z, everybody.
Yeah, it is Control Z. Okay.
Yeah.
And Control Y to redo, which I believe should be the same on both, but let's find out. QWERTY and AZERTY, the Y is in the same place because of the E. So yeah.
There we go. Rogan just loves chaos. That's right, everybody.
Yeah, these Canadian people. I will say, I came to France now 13 years ago. I learned to touch type on QWERTY, and I had to relearn to touch type on AZERTY, and I can now touch type on both.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you have both skills.
It's completely useless, skill. But
there you go.
Yeah. What else have we got? What else can we play around with? So we can, change the elevation. So we can say, oh, let's. Now you generally, if you don't want the artist to cry, you generally don't want a difference of elevation of more than 2. Otherwise, they're very sad. Yeah. Because it will work, but it will kind of stretch out the 3D model a little bit. So let's not do that, or Victor will say, stop this madness. Why? And then, by the same token, all the same functions we've seen before work. So you can smear. It's not really called smear. This is not a thing that exists. I'm just inventing this word. And
I think we should use smear. Chat, let's use smear.
All right, we can call it smear. we don't actually have words for these interactions, so we need to invent a word. So if chat, you would like to invent a word for the interactions in our editor, then
there you go.
So we've got that. We can add points of interest. So I want some, let's see, oil here, and some horses over here. Natural modifiers. So hey, what I want in life is going to be I don't know, some fog.
Put a bit of fog over those waters.
Lovely fog over here. I want some reefs. This is new stuff that we've actually introduced quite recently. The naval kind of natural modifiers. Let's see, black soil and so on. So these are all the things that appear when you zoom out.
Cool.
And obviously, very important, Mount Vesuvius, if we want to place that somewhere.
Oh, just toss it up.
Boom.
Wow. Very nice.
Again, this will look a bit weird if you place it kind of, in an area where it's going to be crooked.
Right.
Mount Vesuvius will kind of point out at an angle. So
you'll probably want to place them on find some flat land or something.
Something flat. I mean, there are various conditions that the map generator will respect, like only placing, I don't know, the Great Barrier Reef in the ocean. You can place it on land, but it'll probably look weird. So
Right.
There are some things that we leave certain options up to you, but you can kind of break things if you're not careful.
Right.
You can create landmarks as well. So I can grab this forest here in a very vague sort of way, and so there are a few little things that still need to as I backspace, the name on the left here gets smaller, and so the UI
so
shifts.
Everything, yeah.
So a couple of things. I call this, let's see, my awesome forest. Ooh, and again, let's try and move into a QWERTY brain. There we go. My
Forest of Doom. Very nice.
And then if we go here, I've got my Forest of Doom over here.
Oh, cool. It shows up on the...
Actually, it should be a forest. Yeah. So
right.
Then we will have my Forest of Doom with a little forest icon.
Very cool.
And, we've got some rivers. So you can say, oh, I'd like a river to kind of snake down over here into the sea, and I want another one over here to join up with it.
Oh, and then they'll like intersect and...
Exactly, and it's all nice and shiny. And this is again with the middle click, dragging out, and that all works pretty much as you would kind of expect.
Yeah.
Finally, we have territories, which is going to be quite interesting because currently, this is the ocean. Everything is ocean.
Right.
This will confuse the AI. We need territories to claim as a player, but you also need the territories to be labeled correctly because the AI doesn't necessarily know what continent is what, and then like the legacy, what are they called, the world deeds. Don't know what the thing is called in my own game. But yeah, you were the first to arrive, or you completely took control of a continent. We need to be able to label continents. So likewise, we can use the middle mouse button to create new territories, and we can smear them with the right mouse button. We can also change the size of our part, and this works with everything. So this is going to be our territory here.
Very cool. Get the Forest of Doom in there a little bit.
Indeed. You always want it to be slightly going across multiple territories, so that people have to kind of fight to get control of the whole thing.
Right.
Otherwise, it's not as interesting.
So with the territories, can you also use the smear to sort of, or like the picker to select and then change?
So this one here, if I wanted to do something really weird, like, oh, actually, wait. Sorry, no, it doesn't work with territories, does it? I can't actually pick a territory and then later drop it.
Right.
I can only smear it.
Okay.
But I think that was actually done intentionally to prevent people from making territories that are not contiguous.
Right.
Because if you do something like this, it will not be happy.
Right.
It'll say something like, "Hey, the territory needs to be contiguous." So as you can see, there are obviously lots of ways that you can break the map.
Yeah.
So you have these little validation checks that we can go into here.
Perfect.
And you can say territory pass, and it'll say, "Oh, all these things are broken."
Right.
So because we did a lot of weird stuff.
Okay.
We're working on improving this, so that you have kind of more specific, like this particular territory, like glowing in red with all these arrows pointing at it or something. Cool. But for now, we'll just try and make sure that land territories are on land, that sea territories are on the sea, and so on.
Perfect.
So this gives us all the tools that we need to make something from scratch, or make something based on this hexagon. But that will take probably quite a long time and be kind of a pain. So we have a functionality that is really quite handy, which lets us import the kind of topology based on an image. So if, for instance, you're from Australia,
for instance,
completely at random, you can give people an Australian geography lesson. So let's do that. Import tool, and I'm going to go oop-a-doop-a-doop.
So this one's Australia, and then the colors are the palette.
Yeah. So basically, the import tool, what it does is next to your save files, like where the save files exist, and that'll be in your kind of user directory, C/users or whatever. You'll have a folder with save files, and you'll have a folder with maps that's just next to it, and you can put an image into the folder, the map folder, and that's also where your maps will be saved. So if you download something, you can put it in there, and you'll be able to use it in your games. So I just got this map, off Wikimedia Commons. It's a map of Australia, and what you'll need to do is kind of reduce the number of colors and create a palette so that it knows kind of what each color means. So here's one I prepared earlier. I would say I prepared earlier. Technically, I had some help actually.
Had a bit of help.
I think Steph did this one.
Thanks, Steph. Thanks, Kat.
Yeah. So taking credit for people's work is terrible. So yeah, as you can see, it's here in our chain.
Perfect.
And then we hit import, and lo and behold, we have a lovely map of Australia. Of course, unfortunately, the Forest of Doom is now in the ocean. But what we can do is do some control Zing to try and get rid of as much of this as possible.
As much control Zing as we possibly can.
Let's see. I think I may have gone to the end of the buffer.
Yeah.
So I'll just get rid of this landmark by removing it like so.
Right.
There we go.
Oh, Forest of Doom is gone.
Yeah. And let me see. Let's do the same thing again. Oop. Yeah, I can get rid of a natural wonder as well.
Right.
So what I did is I essentially smeared not wonder onto the wonder, and the wonder was no more.
Perfect.
So let's now that we've cleaned up a little bit, let's get rid of this point of interest as well. That one. No, I'm doing on the wrong thing. No. None. What I want is none. Thank you. Yes.
There we go.
I want noneness. I'm a big believer in noneness. Yeah, because when it imports it, it imports the topology, so sort of the elevation, but it doesnn't import like the terrain, the natural modifiers, and all that. So that stuff you need to kind of put in. So from the point of view of kind of cleanliness, I'm just gonna clean up a little bit, clean my room. Though
clean your room, yeah.
Let's clean up.
Tidy up a little bit.
Our room is now fairly tidy. I'm liking the look of this room. So let's now import. Again, hit import BIM. And it's so fast, it's lovely. I mean, this is a small map.
The land down under.
Yeah, that's great. It's great, great stuff. So we're actually going to start with a little history lesson, and all the Australians in chat can probably make fun of my inability to accurately place borders. I think Tasmania is probably the easiest one, so let's put Tasmania here.
So we're going to try and be as accurate as possible?
We're going to try, but obviously the degree of like precision here, it's a tiny map, so if I'd done a huge one, it would be a lot more precise. You'd see lakes and things. I'm from Canberra, so obviously Canberra is going to be a lot bigger on this map than it really would be.
All right.
It's going to be really huge. I don't think Canberra would even be one tile, actually.
You don't think?
Yeah, that's what makes me...
How big is it? Like, what's the population?
I don't know.
Pretty small?
It's like, Watership Down, where any number above 1,000, they're just like lots.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it's at that point.
I don't know. Probably like a tenth of the population of a small part of Paris is like Canberra.
All right.
It's like 300 people per square kilometer or something.
Okay.
So that's a very, very reasonable number of people, in my opinion, to have in a country. Yeah. Canada is similar, I think. Canada gets it,
Definitely.
I seem to remember. So this is not one state. This is two states. This is Queensland here. Let's go for some Queensland.
Very nice.
The very clean vertical borders.
Yeah, just draw a line right across.
Exactly. And then we're going to have South Australia, which is going to be vaguely something like this.
Okay.
Probably people are going to say, oh, technically there's a kind of weird thing where Queensland kind of comes up a bit over the top.
Right.
And then we've got the Northern Territory over here.
Cat in chat, I'm realizing now we should have prepared a special map with an island Canada next to Australia.
Yeah. And then you could have done, a lesson in Canadian.
Then I could, yeah, exactly. Good thing we didn't prepare that, honestly, because I'd be very bad at that.
I did revise this a little bit before. I'm not doing this entirely from memory because it's been a while. I said 13 years I've been in France, so. So here we have our lovely Australia. Isn't that just wonderful?
Very nice.
I love a sunburnt country. And again, probably, if I were to put Canberra, I'm just speaking in terms of like importance, right?
Right.
You know? So it's not actually that big, but I think it should be. You know, I'm just saying. So what we need to do as well, there's a little bit of bookkeeping to do. So for the game to work, you need to create a sort of a south and north, whatchamacallit, kind of band that's going to be
Right.
impassable, because otherwise you fall off the edge of the map and into like, you know, the memory of your computer, and then it catches fire.
Right.
So,
Right.
so don't do that. Always create like a buffer zone to prevent, you know, a computer from catching fire.
Setting fire in your place.
This is what our lead 3D programmer has told me. He said very specifically, the units will fall off into the computer, and then they'll get stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll be like little ants in your computer.
And that's why we talk about bugs, you know, because that's
Exactly.
how it works.
History lesson and a lesson in making games, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll need to, you know, create some kind of ocean territories as well. We're going to do that very quickly. Just plonk some of these down.
Right.
We can probably finish this later if we're feeling like answering questions. It's a good thing to do while answering questions, because it's kind of a no-brainer task. Need to fill all this ocean stuff in. So how about we answer some little questions while I'm doing my little painting?
Yes, definitely. So we do have a couple here. People in chat, I am checking my phone right now, but I'm not texting or anything like that. I'm just reading the questions that are here. So, or maybe I'm not. Who knows?
He gets them directly piped into his brain, so
yeah, right, exactly.
so that he doesn't need to check his phone.
I think did we show off the biome assignment?
Yeah, I'm going to do that when I've finished my little painting. But yes,
Perfect.
You assign. I should have probably done that with the original map, but we can do that when we've got our territories.
Yeah. No worries. Wolf1455 says, "Hey guys, any pre-made maps on release?"
On release, let me think. I don't want to say something silly, so I think Kat in the chat will probably confirm. I don't believe that we have.
Off the top of my head, I can't remember.
Yeah.
That might be something, Kat, if you have the answer, can toss in the chat.
I mean, I can include this one, you know. Though actually no, I think it's probably too late to include this one in the day one, I'm afraid. So
the Australia map?
I could include it fairly quickly, because we're not going to be putting the game out and then just like abandoning it like a, you know, like I don't know what, a thing that you abandon. You know, we're going to be continuing to work and do stuff on the game after release.
No maps planned for release. I just got an answer on that, but yeah, luckily you can share the maps that you've created. So if you do something as beautiful as this, you can share it with your friends, and they can play that same map on their computer.
Yeah, it's pretty hot off the press, you know. So like, if you know, if the tools had been ready a couple of months earlier, we might have, you know, spent more time building stuff with them. But yeah, we want to rather get the best tool possible to you, rather than making a kind of less good tool and then us using it to make stuff. So
yes. And that kind of leads to the next question, SnakeEye98. Will we be able to download maps with the Steam Workshop and use them in multiplayer? I think what we're using is mod.io, and you can share maps that way, but I think you can also share the file, the file with your friends, and they can put that again in their maps folder, and then you can find that when you're loading up a game.
So yeah, I've just labeled Australia as a whole as Continent 1, and Tasmania, I think, is probably too small for the engine to accept it as a. Sorry, Tasmanians, but unfortunately, Tasmania may have to be an ocean territory.
Right.
Simply because it is an island with sea around it. I think if we really reduce the amount of sea, you need to have, I think, at least 50% land for it to be allowed to be a land territory. So let me just check that.
while you're doing that, from the final version footage, this is from Waycott, by the way. From the final version footage, we could notice new ocean tiles featuring wind, ice, reefs. Will you at some point use the same mechanic as in Endless Legend, whether moving around on ocean tiles?
I can't really comment on like what we might do one day, because a lot of like, you know, as I've said, we're going to support the game after launch, so we're going to keep fiddling around, changing stuff, but like we would not be true to the whole games together spirit if we were like, yeah, we've already decided everything we're going to do for the next, you know, however many years.
Totally.
Like, so we're going to put it out there, and people are going to like, you know, tell us, hey, you know, you need to do this, and then we'll do that, you know. So that's kind of the idea.
Yeah, that's a big part of the Amplitude philosophy, I think, is not really setting anything or everything in stone, so that we could work together with the community to sort of make it into something that everybody likes, as many people as possible likes to play.
Yeah, exactly. You know, we are here to serve.
Exactly.
So let me see. Now that we've, let's go to another question, and I'll
sure.
Go on this later.
And then we have Mark T. How big are the maps? How big are the maps that are supported? I like gigantic maps. They get pretty big.
They do get pretty big, and it's silly because I was looking at the numbers just a couple of hours ago, but I cannot remember exactly what the numbers are. So I think again, Kat will have access to them, and we'll be able to post them in the chat.
Yeah.
This is a tiny map, so this is the smallest possible size that we have. But we have, you know, tiny, small, normal, large, and huge. So, you know, there are many, you know, layers up, and the largest maps are, I believe, something like, I don't want to give a figure, but they're bigger than what we had for Endless Legend.
Yeah.
So we are upscaling.
Golden Rush 257. Are we not going to get the OpenDev maps? To our knowledge, I don't think that's planned.
Yeah, what you have to understand is that the OpenDev maps are, I mean, they're kind of, they were built with older versions of the tools, and the data structures are kind of old and deprecated, and we've kept working on the game, and like, I want to stress, you know, like you might imagine us working with super clean, beautiful tools like this one. A lot of the time it's like, you know, literally modifying text files by hand to get the spawn points working correctly or something like that. So like, we make beautiful things, but behind the scenes, you know, sometimes it's a little bit wires poking out. And what that means is that like, yeah, some of the older maps are no longer supported. We can, I think, probably pull them out and dust them off, but there would be, you know, there would be some work involved in getting them working with the current like version of the game.
Definitely.
You know, because like new landmarks have been added that didn't exist before, so we need to do another pass and add those in. And you know, various other things as well have changed. Like, you know, we now have more strategic resources than we used to have. So you know, we would need to update the map to kind of make sure that it's still playable.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah.
We did get an answer from Kat. Huge maps are 150 by 88 hexagons. So that's the biggest. And then I'll do one more question, and then we can do this here.
I'm just going to put a river in while we're talking. The best river.
Mario asks, do you think it would be possible to recreate the world map and make it playable using regions?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, I've you know, we've fiddled around with that, and you know, on a huge map. Not all of the countries can be represented by a large enough territory to be playable, like Liechtenstein, for instance. But yeah, you can definitely make a world map, and it can definitely be playable. So yeah.
Awesome.
And not just the real world, but all manner of kind of fantasy worlds as well.
Yeah.
Anything where you have a map that you can get hold of, you know, to use in the way that we did with the palette, you know. So you need to kind of reduce the palette size, reduce the number of colors, and then kind of with a picker figure out what all the colors are. But when you've done that, you can just pull the thing directly in and start deciding what territory is what.
Very cool.
So yeah, let's see. I'm gonna apply the biomes because currently Australia is looking a little bit like a little bit Arctic, which is not what we want. We would like something a little bit more hot and dry. So this is also done in the territory tab here. Had a bit of hesitation with Kat about this, but I tend to feel that kind of New South Wales is more like Mediterranean.
Okay.
And then I would go for sort of tropical up here in Queensland, and Victoria maybe more like temperate. And same thing for Tasmania. And then for the rest, I have to admit I'm less familiar with the rest of Australia. But I'm just going to put desert everywhere because
Couple kangaroos.
come and fight me. You know, if you're from Western Australia, please don't come and fight me. I'm a lover, not a fighter.
Just coming in hot in chat.
Yeah, and then we can start saying, oh, let's put in some actual sterile. So what is a sterile desert? It's different from a sterile like taiga, which would be more like icy plains.
Right.
In a desert, it's going to be sandy. So go over here and put some sand in like this. It's already starting to look a bit more like Australia.
Very cool.
And then if memory serves, where do we have forests? Well, we have a whole heck of a lot of forests up here.
Right over here.
Up here.
You're doing pretty good.
And up here we have some stuff.
Okay.
I mean, we probably need to make a few more, territories so that we can have more specific biomes.
Right.
Because it's more made for territories that are like, I guess, like in terms of climate than in terms of political. They're natural territories bordered by a river or a mountain range.
Right. Right.
There's some woods over here. If memory serves. So what's over there? Tasmania is basically just a wood.
It's just a big forest.
Yeah, that's what it is.
All right.
I mean, probably just let's go to prairie. That'll do. And then
One prairie. Okay, nice.
Yeah, because you
like
need some place for people to live that isn't in a wood.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there's issues. And then the rest is just vaguely woods. Lots of woods down here actually. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm realizing I'm going to be insulted by every Australian in chat.
Chat, what do you think?
Yeah, how are we doing? Rivers. I mean, I'm not going to put all the rivers in because I flunked geography. We got the Murray-Darling Basin, which is nice. And we can say, let me see. This is going to be like the Gibson Desert, I think. It's going to be a landmark desert called.
It's QWERTY.
Oh yes. That's, so S is still in the same place. I have to just not look at the keyboard, otherwise I'm confused.
Yeah.
And then
Lone Phantom in chat says, as an Aussie, it's not too far off.
Great.
I mean, that's the goal, not being too far off.
The thing that makes me most afraid is that after 13 years in France, I'm going to be called un-Australian, because I've become too French.
Right.
Now I drink wine and
Eat cheese and.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Too much cheese.
Yeah.
This is sandy desert, not sand desert. And there are other deserts as well, but that's enough deserts for now.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, we can put in. Let's see. I'm going to make a bit more space for the Great Barrier Reef. Oopsies. Because otherwise, let's use our imaginations a little bit.
Of course.
Just because Great Barrier Reef, put it in here like that.
A
little bit nicer, because otherwise it's it kind of looks like it sticks out a little bit.
Right.
And we can put some little reefs around there as well. That's a little reef right here, little reef right there. Coral reefs. Sorry, let's go for coral reefs. That's much better, much more appropriate. Isn't that wonderful?
That looks great.
I'm very, very excited about that. Obviously, the world generator, if it did this, we'd be a bit confused, but still. So yeah, and what remains to be done? I guess we'll just put in as a final touch some resource deposits because
Oh yeah.
What's Australia? We got some copper.
Bit of copper lying around.
Yeah, just iron everywhere, and lots of coal. And yeah, we just have lots of rocks. We're good with rocks. Aluminium, not aluminum. Yeah, and we have some uranium. We've got lots of useful things.
In the desert.
In the desert, well, everywhere really, but yeah. So this is a very mineral-rich type of place. We can put some lead. I may be going out on a limb here in terms of what kind of minerals are here. I think we have some silver. We have gold. We had a gold rush. Did we have a silver rush? Yeah. Well, there's gold in here, isn't there? Gold. There we go.
Well, there we are.
Let's put some gold here, I think. Anyway, again, any geography expert watching this is probably going to have a heart attack.
Just screaming at the screen.
Vaguely cold.
Hey, it looks great to me.
Yeah, and final tricky bit here is that when it comes time to defining start locations, we need to define them for a one-player game. We need to define them for a two-player game. We need to define them for a three-player game. We need to define them for a four-player game. So, for instance, if one person is created, they'll be in Canberra, obviously, because it's the best place.
Right.
If there are two players, then I'll have one in Canberra, and then one can be in the desert. Why not? And then if there are three, well, maybe we'll leave Canberra alone for a bit, and we'll put one person here, one person here, one person here, and then for four, we'll do something like this. So, you need for each kind of player count to kind of spread them out differently,
right.
And that gives you the control that you need. And when you've defined starting points for sort of one player, two player, three player, four player, you can play the game with 1, 2, 3, or 4 players.
I see a question in chat. What happens when there's more than 8 players at the start of the game? I think that's something we're working on getting back in there. I think you can play up to 10 players in a normal game.
You can,
That is something that we're working to get.
Yeah, so there'll be 2 extra options very quickly in here. Yeah.
Cool. Well, looks amazing. I want to play on this map. I actually don't know. Imagine an 8-player game on this tiny.
I think that would be. I mean, the primary issue would be the number of regions because, I mean, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 with the ACT obviously far larger than it should be. And if 8 players, I mean, with 6 players, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 players. Each person could have one territory. I pity the people who are in Tasmania in the ACT, but
definitely.
And yeah, I mean, as I said, there are a few things to iron out here. So like, it's saying, oh, I have all the start locations, great, and then this one is saying, oh, there's some issues with the territories. We're currently kind of patching in a little tool that's going to highlight in red and be like, hey, this one's broken.
Yeah.
But essentially it's saying, hey, there's a territory that's too big, and I'm not going to be able to infer, like, probably it's this one here. But without it highlighting it, it's going to be a bit of a bummer to find that one. But other than that, we've got everything we need, and we can hit save as, and we can call this, Australia.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And you'll note, that it's saved in there, and then you can just grab that file and you can pass it to someone else, and they can put that in their map folder, and they can, edit it and save a new version and send it back. So it's very kind of simple.
Yeah. Just a heads up for anybody entering chat a little bit late. This will be up as a VOD, so you can go back and watch it. It'll be on both Twitch and YouTube. Some people in chat are requesting to see more terrain types close up. For example, forest versus woodland.
Sure. Let's.
Yeah.
Ooh, did I just make an ocean Arctic? Let's not do that. Okay, so let's go and look over here. So we've got some. So jungle biome forests. Let's put some woodland instead of forests. So you can see that in the jungle biome, essentially woodland is less dense forest. And in gameplay terms, it gives a little bit less industry, if memory serves. So yes, that's a good point. Let's put some woodlands kind of in and around the forests to make a little transition.
have a little bit of artistic.
Yeah.
Nice.
Art is kind of being messy, so yeah.
Right, exactly.
There we go, bam, 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 bam. And we should probably put like, so you know, we've got prairie here, but the transition is maybe not great, so let's put in some dry grass, for instance. And then we can have like a nicer transition. Oh, there's camels. We had a big issue with camels kind of invading various desert towns.
Oh, really?
It was a big, that and the emus. Remember the Great Emu War?
Right.
I don't believe we have any little emu animals, but...
oh, look at them. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm hopeful the community will request emus en masse, and then we'll be able to have...
Please do, everybody.
Please request emus.
So the animals that appear in the biomes are... They're just tied to the biomes, right? So different animals will appear based on which tiles you're putting down.
Exactly. Right? I think we need to give these guys what's it called? An oasis or something?
Oh yeah. Just like right in the middle.
Am I just being silly here? Waterfall, black salt, volcanic geyser, coral reef, hot springs.
Is it?
I could have sworn there was an oasis here earlier. Let's put hydrothermal vents instead, because that'll be...
Of course.
Yeah. I don't think there are actually hydrothermal vents, but never mind. Hot Springs, Alice Springs. Alice Springs, Hot Springs. There we go.
There you go.
That's more or less where Alice Springs is. I think it's more like...
oh, apparently... Oh, it's at the very top. Oasis.
Ah, there we go. Alice Springs can be...
I missed it completely as well. I was like, what? Is it not in the game anymore?
Yeah,
cool.
You're looking at something and you just can't see it.
That's why we have you, chat. Thanks a lot. Would you like to get to a couple more questions?
Sure, let's do that. I mean, I'm pretty much at the end of my map here. I can keep fiddling around, putting some... What if there's a cave? There's a cave. There's a cave over here.
Yes. So let's go with MFX Media. Can you change the number of tiles each region will have?
The number of tiles each region will have? Well, I mean, in the sense that I can, you know, add and remove tiles.
Right.
Silly. I can add and remove tiles. I was on the wrong thing, so I can kind of, you know, pull tiles out of one territory and put them in another.
Right.
You know, so again, this territory here, if I wanted to break it in two, I can just paint a smaller territory right over here.
Okay. So you can just make them as big as you want. I mean, I don't know if the game will like that, but
yeah, I mean,
you can just drag it.
The size of the territories, there is a limit to how big a territory can be without the game saying, oh, your territories are too big.
Right.
Please stop being silly.
Please stop being silly. Yeah, exactly.
We do have kind of some sanity checks in place because weird stuff will start happening if you make territories too big.
Right.
I guess it's one of those more like all bets are off. Like I know the AI will go completely berserk, but I think various other things will too. Like you know, the little animals as well, and you know, all kinds of things kind of play off or depend on the fact that territories will be a certain size.
Right.
So,
yeah.
So yeah.
Nefarious Bread asks, oh, this is a good one. Is there any sort of fictional map that you're looking forward to? Just anybody making, seeing something in Humankind?
Yeah, I'm a bit of a hipster. So, you know, I'm not going to go for like, you know, Lord of the Rings, you know, Middle Earth, or something that, you know, I'm going to go for something slightly less well known, but still awesome. So I think I would go for like the Wizard of Earthsea, you know.
Oh, okay.
I would love to see that one.
Very cool.
Yeah. Someone make that one, please.
Yeah. I guess I'm not as hipster. Like I want to see the Middle Earth one. What else would I want to see? That's a good question. Like anything from the Endless games, I'd like to see. But I think that combined with some of the modding tools that we'll talk about later on, I think we can some pretty cool stuff can happen.
We were working on that Oregon map.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see.
What else? The Cake of Lies. Sorry if this has been asked before, but is it possible to look at FIMS yields in this mode?
you cannot see FIMS yields, I'm afraid, in this mode. But that's a good point. That would be something useful to have access to. Yeah.
Yeah, it's stuff like that, bringing stuff up like that. That's good because again, this is something that the team is going to be working on and listening to you guys. So, yeah, that is a good point.
Yeah, and again, as I said, it's games together, right? So the idea is for there to be a conversation about these things. I mean, there are a lot of features that we would like to see, but like, what is the community most interested in?
Right. Yeah,
and
definitely.
like the game itself, there are plenty of other things that could be added. The question is like, you can't be everywhere at once. You can't do everything, instantly. So you have to kind of, prioritize and then do things in order.
Yeah, definitely. Nefarious Bread, do sanctuaries pop out randomly?
They do, yeah. Sanctuaries, hideouts, various other objects will be created once the game is launched. Curiosities will spawn once the game is launched. For the OpenDevs, we had the ability to add them in by hand, but that was a kind of hacky additional thing that we're not yet comfortable giving access to because,
Yeah.
Essentially, the difference is that there's the map itself, and then there's all the stuff on top of the map, and they're kind of two separate data structures. So it makes that transition, which might seem to players to be kind of easy. It's like, oh, you can put in a landmark. Why can't you put in a curiosity? Well, why can't you put in an army? Well, the point is that they're two very different types of objects that are handled by different kind of, the world generator handles the world, and then after the world is generated, there is like the game startup starts populating it.
Right.
So yeah.
Just Dan, I love that. Just Dan asks, can you create cities and armies on the map editor, or to recreate scenarios from history?
So yeah, again, currently no. We don't have that feature in the map editor. So it really is just to create like skirmish maps that you can play on. Though as we've seen, you can kind of name landmarks and things like that. So there's a lot of stuff that you can do, but you can't make like an RTS game level where like you have a starting like city that's all set up, and then you have someone else that's all set up, and then like there's I remember the Warcraft 3 kind of map editor. We could, we're not quite there yet, but maybe if for the community it is a big priority, then that will be something that we will push along. Really, it's a question of like what people want us to be working on, moving forward.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I think that's pretty much it. Do we want to show off where they can find the map once it's saved?
Yeah, we can do that. They will have to, I'm afraid, reboot the game.
Yeah, that is definitely true. Yeah. But all it is when you are ready to play on your map and you're setting up a game, there's a spot in the game setup that says maps, and it should be there. I think when it saves, when you save, it saves in the maps folder under Humankind.
It saves in the correct place for it then to be loaded.
Yes.
So what you will see, currently when you exit the editor, you exit to Windows. So we're not going to do that as it'll be ugly on stream. But again, this is something that will be patched relatively quickly.
Yes.
But when you're in the lobby, you create a new game. You'll have kind of all the options on the left-hand side. For like how fast I want it to be and how many opponents I want to have, and then there's an option map, and you can just choose a map from the list.
Right.
And play on that map.
Definitely.
And, it really is as simple as that, Rogan.
It really is as simple as that. Perfect. Well, I think that's pretty much it. We answered quite a few of your questions, but if anything else comes up, everybody, again, this is going to be a VOD on YouTube, so you can toss your question in the comments, and we'll try to get to as many of them as we can. Yeah, that's pretty much it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Humankind Game. We're pretty active over there, so if you have any other questions about not just the map maker, just something about the game. And if we're able to answer it, we'll do that. But the game's coming out next week, everybody. So it's you're going to be seeing everything pretty soon.
End of an era.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, and then we'll be supporting the game as time passes. So
beginning of a new era.
Beginning of a new era, exactly. Just one thing that I wanted to bring up. I can't say too much about it, but with the map maker, keep your eyes peeled, because after we release this, after this is out in your hands, we might be doing a little bit of a contest. I don't know. Just keep that in the back of your mind. Just keep that in the back of your mind and consider it. We want to see your chops, for sure. We want to see how you guys do and the stuff that you create with this thing. So there might be a bit of a tease behind me.
Yeah.
There's something pretty cool over there.
I liked the in the back of your mind. I thought that was nice and subtle, in the back
there you go.
Of your mind.
There's something back here, but you know. Anyway, thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you, Will, for
happy to be here as always.
Yeah, definitely. This is really cool. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to shoot them over. We love you guys. We can't wait for you to play the game on Tuesday. Only 4 more days. But yeah, any parting words?
I have nothing to add. No, really. Just really looking forward to people playing the game, and yeah. Definitely. Scared, excited, all the emotions. All the above. All the above. Perfect. Thank you guys so much, and have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye. Bye.